All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. McDowell, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Mr. Devin Devon McDowell, 2024 CR 07616 for abandonment. You're represented by the law firm of Lister, Holton, Dennis. Mr. Taz Taylor is with you. Mr. Taylor, what is your client plea to the offense of abandonment?
Your Honor, my client is pleading guilty at this time.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about August the 7th of 2024, Ms. Withers did take out a state warrant for abandonment against the defendant. Pursuant to the warrant, the defendant willfully and voluntarily left his minor child in a dependent condition by failing to furnish sufficient food, clothing, shelter, or medical care for a period of 3 months. The affiant, Ms. Withers, is the aunt of the minor child. Your Honor, the state's recommendation at this time is 12 months to serve, 48 days, balance suspended, and under the special sentencing provision of OCGA section 19-10-1J, the sentence will be suspended until the victim turns 18. We're also asking for, pursuant to Ms. Withers, we're requesting no contact with the minor child, as well as no contact with Ms. Withers. And she is also on the line and wishes to give a victim impact statement as well.
I will say, Your Honor, that the no contact provision between Mr. McDowell and his son was not presented to the defense prior to just now. Mr. McDowell had been caring for his son. The mother of his son is in prison, so the son has been in Mr. McDowell's custody due to housing situations. Mr. McDowell recognized that he may be better off living with his aunt, who is the mother of the child's sister, and he voluntarily relinquished custody. I don't know if that's in a legal fashion or just go with his aunt. I do want the judge and the court to take this into consideration, that he has been providing for his son and been the sole support, but understanding the situation and what's best for his son and his son's education, which his aunt would be better able to provide him a stable housing location, which meant a stable school environment as well. He voluntarily did that. So we understand his aunt is concerned about monies being provided while she's taking care of the son. However, we don't feel that Mr. McDowell's done anything inappropriate that would cause no contact provision to be.
Hold on, Mr. McDowell. Let me hear Ms. Withers. Ms. Withers, I need to see you and hear you, please.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
All right. Let's see. All right. So Ms. Withers, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So Ms. Withers, abandonment cases are kind of unique in the sense that we're criminalizing a parent's failure to care for their minor child. So usually what is not a part of it is a no contact provision, because we're usually begging them to have contact with their child to provide the intangible support, not money, but things like emotional support and, the love and care that a parent is supposed to have for their child. Tell me your views in this situation. And I know the dynamics are kind of extreme in the sense that your sister is serving time, and then now Mr. McDowell has indicated that he has issues that make him unable to care for a 13-year-old son. Is it?
He's 12. He'll be 13 in October.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So tell me what's going on.
Yes, ma'am. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for Your Honor for allowing me to speak on behalf of myself and my nephew. And since Josiah may not be allowed to speak, although I have him in the other room in case he needs to, I will gladly speak up for him. Your Honor, I have taken care of Josiah since the day he was born. I was at the hospital, picked out his name. I've been caring for him for all of his life, whether that was providing necessities for him that his parents could not give him or being there for guidance and support. I've helped with schoolwork, went to all his graduations, been there for birthdays, holidays, while they were in and out of jail or absent, and kept him for several years without receiving any financial support or emotional support from his parents. And to be clear, Josiah was physically under Devin McDowell's custody, at least for the last 2 years or so. But I would get Josiah every other weekend, all of his school breaks, and for the entire summer. And during all of that time, Devin McDowell barely reached out to speak to him nor check up on him. I went to his graduation for 5th grade, and although Devin McDowell lived within 10 minutes walking distance, he didn't show up. He refused to show up. After moving in with me, this most recent time, Josiah has informed me of several negative occurrences, one being that he was mentally abused or bullied almost daily by Devin McDowell, and he was also physically abused. And Josiah has told me of an incident that his father, the person that's supposed to take care of him and provide a safe space, he put a pillow over his head in attempts to get rid of my nephew. And because I believe that Josiah was simply too much of a burden for him to have around, I say those accusations are allegedly simply because we're in court. But I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I don't believe my nephew would lie about something like that. My nephew also informed me that Devin McDowell has told him several times that it would be better for his family with his current girlfriend, who also abused him, and her 2 kids if Josiah was not around. So I wasn't surprised when the police contacted me several times one day to inform me that Josiah was in an unsafe environment. It was a flooded basement. He was left alone several times, to the point where even the other people living in that house threatened to call the police on David McDowell for leaving him alone down there, and I needed to get him. This is what the police told me. And I say that I'm not surprised because Devin had been trying over a year to convince me to take Josiah and just put him on child support so that he wouldn't have to deal with him. And Josiah has lived with other people, including strangers in the neighborhood, that he paid to stay with them.
I have this thought theory, and it's just my theory, that one of the most important things for a developing child, especially in the adolescent age range, is stability. And it seems that this young man has had a very serious lack of stability. How is he doing in school? How is he doing from your standpoint emotionally?
In school, Josiah's always excelled in school. He's always been on the honor roll and everything. As far as emotionally, I don't think he's doing that well. He doesn't really, even when he told me about the incident, it was so, he said it in such a calm manner, like it was shocking to me. I'm sorry?
Disconnected, because a lot of times what happens is when people experience any form of trauma, then they have what's called disassociation, where they will recount it calmly to someone else because they're pulling away from it emotionally.
Yeah, it was just sad for me to hear it, So
are you seeking any kind of legal relationship with with the young man beyond just having him in your care? Are you seeking a legal relationship with him?
Well, I'm going to court. I'm currently in court for the guardian ad litem, and I believe they're going to, I guess, determine if Josiah is going to live with me permanently with that guardianship. As far as anything else, when Josiah was given to me, he offered and signed a power of attorney stating that he would pay $150 every 2 weeks for Josiah. His girlfriend sent me $100, I'm assuming on his behalf one time, and then he was forced by the Honorable Judge Wright Hill to give me approximately $500 in July. He didn't show up for the next appearance to avoid paying the remaining amount. And I've had Josiah for over 6 months so far, and I've not received any support outside of that for him. And Judge Wright Hill also asked that he call Josiah directly, but he only called him like 3 times around the end of June and never heard from him again. And he was out during that time period. So
there's a pending case in juvenile court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So anything else, Mr. Taylor? Any questions that you have for Ms. Withers?
I'm just a little confused to why she's trying to keep Mr. McDowell out of his son's life, and yet she's claiming that he's abandoning his son. It looks like from
the two things they can happen at the same time. One, because based on her testimony, there seems to be a lack of stability.
Absolutely, we do not deny that there's a lack of stability, and that's why Mr. McDowell turned over custody of his son to his aunt.
But his son has also recounted some disturbing allegations that would constitute either neglect or abuse if proven. And so maybe that's why she's asking that he not have contact.
Well, certainly. However, those are allegations. This is the first I'm hearing of these allegations. And
Well, you expected Mr. McDowell to tell you?
Well, I don't exactly trust Ms. Withers to tell me accurately either.
Well, of the two of them, I think that Ms. Withers is the one who's showing up. And I hate to say it, but of the two of them, Mr. McDowell trusted her enough to take care of his child, because as you indicated, he willingly gave her the temporary, in whatever sense, custody of his child and trusted her to care for this child. And so
that's correct, Your Honor. I would suggest to the court that if the court's concerned about the young man's emotional well-being and growth, that his father remain in his life in some fashion. And
well, Mr. Taylor,
even if it's under the
having done this long enough and having done exclusively, having done abandonment as part of my jurisdiction as a magistrate court judge, I can tell you that sometimes a parent's presence is more disturbing to a child than their absence. And in that sense, if it's going to be a situation where it's a back and forth, a pulling, a pushing, statements or actions that make the child feel insecure or unwanted, then it is what the court deems is in the child's best interest that matters. And so in this case, because I'm not that deeply ingrained in the facts of this case, but from what I'm hearing, I don't think it's unreasonable to let the juvenile court make a determination about Mr. McDowell's role in this situation from the standpoint of the abandonment. It doesn't appear that he's been there. He may have turned this child over willingly, but he's entering a guilty plea. Ms. Withers has testified that he was made to pay $500 by Judge Wright Hill, that his girlfriend paid another $100, that, the police contacted her to come get this child out of a situation. And so I just would rather have the juvenile court make a more permanent decision, but with respect to what's being requested by me now, until the juvenile court makes a different decision, I'm fine with the no contact provision.
Your Honor, my concern is that your no contact provision with the sentence today will be used against Mr. McDowell at the juvenile courts. The reference, well, if a state court judge found it appropriate to assign Mr. McDowell a no contact provision in an abandonment sentence, then who are we as the juvenile court to say that is an incorrect decision? We want to be consistent with the state court and would continue to impose such sentence rather than making an independent determination. I just feel that Mr. McDowell supervised visits, I think would be acceptable. Supervision by
No,
Withers.
I'm not putting that burden on Ms. Withers, because that's a burden that comes with that there's some issues with with supervised visits. Because then I got to figure out who's going to supervise them, and if it's some third party that costs money, and he already is not paying, so I'm not going to impose that burden. This is what I will say: does the young man have a phone, Miss Withers?
Yes, ma'am. He has a phone. I gave Devin McDowell his direct phone number. That's why, as I stated previously, Judge Wright Hill told him that he should call him. He called him a total of 3 times and hasn't heard, Josiah hasn't heard from him in months.
All right, so this is what I will direct. Mr. McDowell, you can text the young man, which will leave a record. That is the contact that you are allowed to have with him, text messages only. And so these messages will be reviewable by the juvenile court, and the amount of messages, when those messages come in, whether they're positive or negative, those are all things that the juvenile court can review. Mr. Taylor's concern is that the juvenile court may just rubber stamp my decision. I know those judges, and they ain't scared of me. They have their own jurisdiction. And so I'm clear in my mind that they're not going to rubber stamp. But I will clearly, I will make it clear in this sentence that I will accept your plea of guilty. You're sentenced to 12 months to serve 48 days. The balance will be suspended as long as the only contact that you have with Josiah McDowell is by text message to the phone that he currently has and the number that you were previously given. Those text messages will be reviewable by the juvenile court, and the juvenile court can make whatever determination it feels appropriate for the continuation of any contact that they may order with the minor child. With respect to Ms. Withers, the only contact that you will have with Ms. Withers is to send money orders. So they can be Postal Service money orders or Western Union money orders, or wherever people get money orders that are reliable. The only contact you're to have with her is to send money orders in the amount of $150 every 2 weeks. If failure to send those money orders will put you in jeopardy of coming back before this court for failure to complete a suspended sentence. And sir, your sentence will be suspended and pending until such time as this child reaches the age of majority. The child is not yet 13. So that's a good 5 years that you and I are going to be talking about your care and concern for your minor child. Ms. McDowell, let me just tell you something. Kids don't ask to come here. Condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. And so when you bring a child into this world, you make the decision that you're going to work as hard as you possibly can. If I got to have 3 jobs, if I got to walk around clearing out people's garages and doing yard work, if I got to work 3 jobs at a time to care for the child that I brought into this world, then that's what I will do. But you can't rely on your girlfriend to pay for your child support. Your girlfriend has her own children, and she didn't lay down with the mother of this child and have a child. And so that is your responsibility. And so stay out of an orange jumpsuit, work as hard as you can get, even if you got to work 3 jobs to make sure that you pay for this child, and show him what a man looks like, Mr. McDowell, somebody who cares for the people that they bring into this world. You can't just give Miss Withers your child and say, well, I can't take care of him. I'm going to give him over to you. Because you know what that says is that you're irresponsible. When you bring a child into this world, your commitment is to that child as long as you are in this world. And so when a custodial parent, which Ms. Withers is now the custodian of your child, she doesn't have the ability to say, well, I don't have it. I can't provide it. Because then that would leave your child in the system. And you would have a fit if Miss Withers was like, well, I'm just going to kick him out on the street because I can't feed him today. But that's essentially what you're doing. You're not feeding your child. You don't know if he's eating every day. You don't know if he's going to school. You're not sitting down doing homework with him. When he gets sick, you're not up making sure he gets to a doctor. You are not doing any of those things that a father would do. You're not showing me father. And so when Mr. Taylor says, well, Judge, I don't think you should interrupt the relationship between a father and a son, you don't have one. Instead of buckling down and doing whatever it took to take care of this child, well, Miss Withers, I mean, you might as well take him. Thank you for that, though, because at least he's got a shot at growing up to be a child who is not mentally messed up. But get yourself together, sir. Get yourself together. Prove that you deserve to have him in your life. Because he sounds like a remarkable young man. With all the instability that y'all have, he's still a great student. He's still focused on getting the job done. Way more focused than you are. We clear? Have I made myself clear?
I'm clear on you, Your Honor, but last statement, you could let me talk, she's a liar.
Sir, the fact that you gave your son to her to take care of tells me that you probably need 2 more jobs than you got. We clear?
I'm clear with what you say, Your Honor.
All right. So do what you said you were going to do and send that $150 every 2 weeks.
It ain't no problem. That's all she want anyway. She getting channel on it.
Well, you can talk jiggy with it if you want to, but you ain't showing me nothing. Show me. Show me that you're the man you're supposed to be. Show me that you're the father you're supposed to be. You can say anything. Most people do. But you're the one in an orange jumpsuit, sir, and she's taking care of your child. And until you can express to the juvenile court at least that you can take care of your child, you ain't doing nothing but talking. Talking loud and saying nothing. James Brown, check him out. All right, you can go back to the sheriff's office.